Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden and welcome to my November front garden tour. So every month on my channel, I do a front garden tour and I do a back garden tour, not only to show you all the progress we've made and everything that's been going on in the past month, but also as a record for Jason and I to see what the garden's looking like that time of year, what's working really well, what's maybe not working so well. So today I want to take you around the front garden. We've done a lot structurally, but I really want to focus on some of the plants and flowers that have been performing really well this past month. So we get really hot during the summer, and this summer was a tough one for us. This summer we had relentless heat and things were struggling, and I have to admit I was really worried about my garden, but now that it's kind of cooled down a little bit, the temperatures are a little bit more normal, everything's just kind of bouncing back and looking absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to show all of you. Okay, so structurally, we've really been focusing on the center island this past month. We had been working on it last month as well, and we've gotten really far. We've gotten a whole layer, 6 inches of compost, almost everywhere where there's not going to be a pathway and there's not going to be the dry creek bed. So you can see over here. We've even started digging out the dry creek bed a little bit. I don't even think we're going to go much further than this because I don't want the dry creek bed to be too deep because we do have our leach field right here over on this side over here. So I don't want it to get too deep. I want it to stay pretty shallow, but I do want there to be a difference between the dry creek bed and the side plantings over here. So what we're going to do next is we'll put down some landscape fabric, we'll put down some small rocks, and then we'll put some big like these rocks over here and then some big boulders in to kind of make it look really nice and natural. We do have scheduled for that to be taken care of. That should hopefully be happening in this next month, but I don't want to jinx it, so let's just move on from there. It's so funny because this center island, we were not even going to address it until 2025, but we kind of got to the point where it was like, oh, we should probably take care of this before before spring happens. Oh, we should probably take care of this before the rains start. So the project kind of got pushed up a little bit. I think that Jason and I were just really excited to get started on the center island because it's going to be such a beautiful difference once everything is in. I'm just so excited about it. For that mound over there, there's going to be some type of structure, gazebo or something. I haven't totally decided yet, but I was talking to Michael Glassman about it, and he says he definitely thinks there should be something with winter interest, which I definitely agree with him on that. I just haven't really found the exact right thing that I wanted. So lots of structural work going on kind of behind the scenes for the center island, and I'm really excited about it, and I think that we're making some really good progress. So the other big thing that happened this month is that Jason and I took out the purple fountain grasses that were here in the Zigzag planter. We took out the grasses, we divided them, and we replanted them in other areas of the garden. We also took out the super bean of pink cashmere, replanted that. I don't know how that's going to go. I'm going to wait and see. And then I did plant daffodils all throughout the Zigzag planter. And I'm so excited because they are just the classic Dutch master daffodils. So when they sprout up in February, March of next year, oh, this is going to be an absolutely beautiful show. And I am planning on underplanting with some cool season annuals, some really cool season annuals that'll be underneath those daffodils. So we will have a little bit more to look at during the winter season, but it was sad to take those grasses out, but I'm glad that we did because it was kind of on my to-do list and kind of on my mind, like, oh, this is going to be a big job. I just need to do this. I know I want to get these totem pole grasses in the ground before winter because I want them to really establish so they'll be nice and big and healthy for next year. So Zigzag planter, check, done. I'm really glad we got that taken care of this month. So coming back over here to my orchard garden that man, with the cooler weather, it just is looking so stunning. I have to point out though, look at the Surefire Rose Begonia, you guys. This has been blooming this beautiful color all season long. absolutely all season long. I love it. I'm gonna leave it in. It's already down to zone 10. So I'm crossing my fingers that it'll overwinter in this spot, that this spot will be protected enough. It is just the most wonderful, wonderful plant. I love it. I really, really love it. So it's just been this beautiful pop of rose color back here, and it was struggling a teeny bit once we were getting so hot, but now that we've cooled back down, we're like in the 60s right now, I would say, and it is just, man, it is just the most beautiful plant. And then contrast that with the whirlwind blue scaevola that's on the other side of the pathway. And everything is just, I mean, I have color. I have color right now, and it's November, which is fabulous. Let me turn the camera around, though, and show you the Surefire White. It's also looking fantastic. Look at this plant. Now, we have not had a frost yet, okay? We don't get our first frost until usually the first week of December. So these have not been hit with a frost yet, but I just want to show you all how these plants will look in like 60 degrees, maybe low 70s temperature. They're just such a fabulous plant. And every year I plant the Surefire begonia, I get more and more obsessed with them. Absolutely. Okay, and then coming back over here to the orchard garden, I wanted to show you over on this side of the pathway. Jason and I planted 1, 2, 3 Leading Lady Monarda. I can't remember the exact name. I want to say it's Leading Lady Dark Lavender or something like that. I'll put it on the screen right now. But we were able to get 1 in, but we weren't able to get the other 2 in when we were planting that day because we kept hitting concrete when we were digging. And this is what Jason dug out of the ground. This crazy thing. Oh, cute. There's a lizard sunning himself. So you can see here's the front of my house right now, but this was not actually the original front of the house. The original front of the house was over on the other side, that side over there. That was like the garage area, and the bunny bungalow was the original house. And this whole section was added on in the 90s, which is really funny. So if you think about it, that was the front of the house way over there. So back here was the way back of the garden, like the area in the garden that you never go to and you throw all your junk. So we think that's what was happening, is whoever lived in the old house, the original house, they would just throw all their junk over here and bury it in the ground. And so we're left with so much stuff. Pretty much every time we dig a hole, we run into something like that right over here in this area, which is very, very frustrating. When we were digging out behind in the secret shade garden, there was, oh my gosh, there was so much stuff back there. And it was just the further down you dug, the more you found back there. So it's been quite an experience kind of planting in this area. I'm really happy with how it looks so far, having to deal with all of that stuff. But you can kind of just see what we're dealing with. Every little hole, we end up finding something like that, just completely buried, a couple feet down into the ground, which has been rough. I just noticed one of my camellias is starting to bloom. So this right here, this is a camellia called Showa no Sakai. This is one of my Nuccio's camellias, and it is a Camellia sasanqua. I know it's a Camellia sasanqua because it is blooming before Christmas. Camellia japonicas bloom after Christmas. I love camellias, you guys. I love camellias so much because they start blooming at a time of year when everything else is kind of going to sleep. And it just makes me so very excited. You can see there's all these really, really nice, beautiful buds on here. I've talked to you all about Nuccio camellias before. Nuccio is a fabulous camellia breeder. He's based out of Southern California, and word on the street is he's retiring in a couple years. So that means there are so many varieties of Nuccio's camellias that are they're going to be extinct. You're not going to be able to buy them anymore, right? So in the next couple years, if you find Nuccio's camellias, grab them because you're going to need them. Now, there are a couple that they have already sold the rights to bigger plant companies like Nuccio's Pearl and Nuccio's Gem. Like they've sold it, like if you find it in like a Monrovia pot or something like that. And that's one of the camellias that they've sold. So we're going to have access to those camellias, for a while. But there are some that we're never going to have access to. So I have a how many do I have? 5 or 6 Nutrios Camellias on my property that, God, I just cherish. I just love them. And whenever I see a bloom, oh, I just get so happy. Coming over to this other side, I want to point out a couple plants that are doing really, really well in my November garden. First off, behind my beautiful Miss Molly bush, I want to point out my Truffula pink gomphrena. Look at how beautiful this plant is, you guys. Don't look at my lavender redbud. It's really, really, really sad. And I cannot wait till it loses its leaves. I'm going to be spraying it, dormant spraying it, and all that kind of stuff. It has a fungus on it really, really bad. It's, oh man, it's struggling so bad. But underneath it, you can be distracted with this Truffula pink gomphrena. Now, after our first frost, I'm sure it's going to suffer. I've tried to overwinter Truffula pink gomphrena here in zone 9B, and it's kind of worked, but I tried to transplant it, and that just totally, it was not happy at all. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm not going to touch it. And then in the spring, I'll cut it back, and I'll see if it comes back for me, but I don't really have any high hopes for this as a perennial just because it likes the warmth so much. But I'm going to enjoy the beauty and the big mound of pink that I have right now because it's just gorgeous. The other thing that's gorgeous is my iceberg roses. They are looking so good. I have to say, I'm the worst rose gardener. I just don't have the patience to go in and be fussy with my roses and to prune them properly, with a leaf set of 5 and all that kind of stuff. I'm just not that good with roses. I don't have the patience. And iceberg roses, they'll do it for me. They will look so beautiful just like this. And I've done absolutely nothing except for deadheaded a couple times this past year. So this is just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rose. And I used to be so snotty and think that these were, I called them parking lot plants, but I apologize. I apologize a million times because I'm absolutely in love with them now. I love them. My neighbors are, they're mowing their field. So if you hear that in the background, I'm really sorry. They just started. Another plant that's doing absolutely beautiful this time of year is my Santa Barbara salvia, my Mexican sage, Salvia leucantha. Can call them any of those names. It is just, man, it's just the best plant. They bloom late summer into fall, and they just bring color. They bring color, and they're so beautiful, and they're so easy to take care of, and you can dry these bloom heads if you want to. I have a white one over there. I'll show you in a little bit, but I knew I wanted to have this plant in this garden because it's just so good for our climate, my climate. This garden, this whole side of my garden over here is my best for the West Garden, and it's all plants. I'm really just focusing on plants that can do really, really well in our climate, which is hot and it is dry. Another project we did this month is we installed our lavender river. So let me show you a picture right here of what I'm going for this spot in my garden. Just a beautiful river of lavender, and then I'm going to find some type of grasses to go on either side of the lavender. I have a couple ideas. A lot of you gave me some fabulous ideas that some grasses that I had never even heard of before. So I just have to make a decision on exactly what I want to do. So we did end up transplanting some of them, and a lot of these were new. Sweet Romance Lavender from Proven Winners. This one we transplanted, and this one, it's not looking too good. You can tell that a lavender is just totally dead when it's all brown and you don't see any green growth on it at all. And I don't see any green growth on this guy at all. I think it just didn't handle the transplant very well. However, I am going to leave it. There's no point for me to take it out because I'm not going to do anything in this space. I'm going to leave it until spring and see if I notice any new green growth. There's another one over here that I wanted to show you. So you can see this one, there are branches that have turned brown. On this one, this was another one that we transplanted, but there's still lots of beautiful green growth. So this lavender is going to be completely fine. It will bounce back next season and it'll be totally happy. So whatever grass I do decide to put on either side of this lavender, I'm either going to grow it from seed, find the seeds for it and grow it from seed, or I'm going to just purchase plugs for it because I really want to have like a mass of the grasses all throughout here. I don't want to plant anything else here in this little garden bed to the right of the pathway except for the grasses along this lavender river. I think that that will be really, really pretty and really striking. And then over on this side to the left of the pathway, first of all, I have this mess down here. This is the Super Bean of Pink Cashmere that was in my Zigzag planter and I transplanted over here. It looks really bad. I know it almost looks dead, but let's just have faith. I've done this before, and by leaving it and not cutting it back, what you're doing, one, is you're not stimulating any new growth. And I don't want any new growth from this plant for the rest of this year because I want all the growth to occur in the roots under the ground. And two, by leaving this mess here, it's basically acting like a blanket for when it gets really cold. I'm hoping that it's going to protect all that new growth really, really close to the roots. And by next spring, when I cut it back, it's going to be big and it's going to be beautiful and it's going to be a gorgeous show of Super Bean of Pink Cashmere. And then I think you all know how obsessed I've been with this color combination this year. This purpley blue of the salvia and then the orange of the thunbergia. Oh, I just think it's gorgeous. And I just think it's what this area of my property is asking for. And seeing it right here, it just makes me really excited. So this is plain the blue salvia from Proven Winners. My favorite plant, hands down, favorite plant, best plant, easiest plant. Oh, if you live in a warm area like I do, get this plant because it's totally worth it. I need to get twice as many and plant them kind of over in this area. And then as this thunbergia won't die over the winter, it'll keep growing, and by next year it'll be all the way up this tutor, and I think it's just going to be such a beautiful, beautiful contrast. And then if I can get this pink cashmere to take, that'll be really pretty because it'll be this pink, it'll be this blue, it'll be this orange. I gotta put in some yellow, some like palish yellow. Oh, it's just gonna be gorgeous. Okay, so coming over here, here is my pomegranate tree looking a little scruffy again. As soon as it loses all of its leaves, I am doing massive pruning on this pomegranate tree. I'm going to prune it into a very, very strong lollipop shape, especially I've already taken a bunch of branches off, but I'm especially taking this branch off right here and just taking out some of the branches because it's definitely multi-trunked in there. And it just kind of making it look cleaner. I've gone back and forth on whether to keep this pomegranate tree. I've decided I am going to keep it, but I'm going to prune it within an inch of its life. And then coming over here, you can see this area. It's looking all right. The plain the blue salvia needs to be cut back a little bit. It's getting a little wild over there. I did end up taking out a ton of the Sun Credible sunflowers. I think I'm going to leave one or two there. They will come back next year. I mean, hopefully they're not technically supposed to, but they have for me before. I think it'll be pretty, but I need to do something else over here on the other side of this tutor. I need something else with a little bit of height. I do have my Vertigo pennisetum, but you guys, that's how tall my Vertigo pennisetum got this year. Isn't that funny? For one thing, it didn't get enough sun. It was completely covered by a lot of the plants that were overgrown in here. I also don't think it got enough water either. So I just think it's so I grew this plant at my last property and I ended up calling it a monster because it was literally like 9 feet tall. It was so big. It was in nice, super beautiful, fertile soil. I would supplement, water it. I would, anytime I walked by with the hose, I would water it with the hose, and it was in full sun. So I'll be interested to see how it does next year, especially because I'm not going to be planting as much stuff around it. But look at that. Look at that. That's like maybe 3 feet tall on a good day if I was being really nice to it. It's just, man, it did not perform this year at all. Okay, and then this garden bed over here needs a little bit of work. We have gophers, we had gophers, and they definitely attacked. First of all, I need to clean back my orange Knifophia, but you can see they got that one right there. And it just, I don't know, it just needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I do have this Beyond Pink Caryopteris right here that I think is really pretty, but I don't think this is the right spot for it. I want to transplant it to another area. Oh, look at this. Here's my Salvia leucantha in the white color. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? And this time of year, isn't that, oh man, that is just the most gorgeous, gorgeous plant. So very pretty right there. And then of course, the Chiclet Orange Tacoma is just one of my most favorite new shrubs. It's beautiful. That's two of them right there. They're 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide. And they're just gorgeous. Somebody is burning. I wonder if it's my neighbors. I smell smoke. Here in California, we're all just paranoid anytime we smell smoke. This right here is why some of my plants don't look as good as they should. Right there. That's what happens. So, Monty, stop. Jeez. So just so you all know, just in my mind, I count from here over still as part of the orchard garden bed. So my homestead verbena, my deodar cedar, my, what are these? Blood, Sweat, and Tears daylilies. These are all part of the orchard garden. Just when I say things, just know that that's what I'm talking about. And then everything over here is part of the willow tree garden bed. And that's because of that beautiful willow tree that we've named Robbie the Willow. Looks absolutely gorgeous right now. It's been growing so beautifully. So this whole area is the willow tree garden bed. And I have lots of beautiful plans for it. And I can't wait. And I'm holding myself back. Planting things because there are specific things that I want to do in this garden bed that's going to be so pretty, but I just need to wait. We need to do the center island right now. Over here we have the Serendipity Allium. I think that's what it was called. Yeah. So you can see what they look like in November. They are done. They are totally, totally done. And I almost came in here and pulled them out. But if you look close, there's new growth. There's absolutely new growth in there. So I'm not totally sure what to do. These are only rated till zone 8. So I think the hot summer is definitely a stretch for these guys. But look at that. Look at all that beautiful new growth and some weeds behind it, but ignore the weeds. Just a beautiful new growth. So I'm not totally sure what to do. There also was a lot of gopher activity around here. You can see there's a gopher mound right there. There's a gopher mound right there. I think we have the gophers under control as of right now. So I don't know if the gopher activity kind of messed with these guys a little bit as well, which is weird because it's an allium and gophers don't like alliums. I don't know. I'm going to give it one more year. This is a really good example of me pushing the zones. This is only rated till zone 8, and a lot of places I like to push the zones in my garden. And if something's only rated to a zone 8, I still will try it out because sometimes zone 9 that's dry can handle a plant. I'm not totally sure about this plant though. So just wanted to show you all this. I'm not giving up on it yet. I'm going to give it another year and see what happens. But I wanted you to see what they look like in November, but there is still some new growth. Okay, let me take you over to the long border over here. So first off, you can see my podocarpus. Look at how beautiful and how happy these guys are. There's already new growth on them, which is amazing. These are Podocarpus graciliar. I planted 6 of them on the long border. Then I planted 3 more over there in the orchard garden. And I just couldn't be happier that I planted these. They're so wonderful. I think they're only zones like 9 and 10 or something like that. So I'm really sorry for those of you who are in lower zones. But for those of you in warmer zones who want a beautiful, beautiful evergreen kind of privacy tree, man, this is such a great option. Then another plant that I've been super happy with, and I just planted these, are my Buddleia, my Pugster Amethyst Buddleia. Look at how beautiful that is. Isn't that pretty? So these are just growing. These are just getting settled in. By next year, they're going to be big and they're going to be beautiful, but I'm just obsessed with this color of amethyst. And I have more down here and they're looking really good as well. Right here. Isn't that beautiful? So pretty. So I'm really excited about those. Okay, so you can see some of my trees, they're already starting to lose their leaves, which is such a bummer, but that makes me really excited that I have some evergreen that are going to be gorgeous all throughout the winter season. I did want to point out one more thing. I wanted to point out all these rocks here. So this area along our driveway had all these rocks, these big rocks in cement, and they were using them as kind of like a border. And so Jason and I came through with a digging stick, and we basically chunked out all of the cement. And then we're not going to toss these rocks. We're going to use them in the center, the dry creek bed, basically, because it's free rocks, might as well. So we figured we would just leave them right here so that we didn't have to move them twice. So that's why there's a whole bunch of rocks right here on the side of our driveway. You probably didn't notice these before because we've covered it with mulch, and they were set deep into this little ditch area right here. So that's why there's just all these rocks right here. But isn't that going to be an absolute beautiful vista? I'm just getting really excited about it. So one thing I haven't really planned around is I am going to be putting a bench right here, and I am going to be putting more of the gravel, the decomposed granite, around here. I need to move these grasses. I planted these grasses. This is California field sedge, and my goal with this California field sedge is for it to grow to kind of look like a meadow. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know. I have to see if I can get the seeds for this so I can just start growing it from seed. One of you messaged me and said that my local arboretum, UC Davis Arboretum, they sell these a lot as well. So I'll just have to see how I do. I really like the look of it. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but let me show you a picture of what it's going to look like. We've had quite a lot of trouble with somebody pulling them out of the ground. So we're still working on it. It's still a work in progress, but I got to move them a little bit so that I can put a bench right there. And I might even do kind of like an archway with some vines growing on it. But it's going to be beautiful. Every time I see a vista like this, I get really excited because I know what it's going to look like eventually. And one thing I didn't even plan out, but it ended up working really, really well, is if you see at the end of this pathway, we have the deodar cedar as a nice focal point as you come down that pathway. I didn't plan on that. That was just luck. So really, really exciting. I think next year is going to be a really good year. Oh, and then one more thing I forgot to say about the center island and planting in the center island is I did plant a whole bunch of snowdrops and snowflakes, just kind of big drifts of them all over the place. So when they pop up, I'm hoping it has more of that beautiful meadow effect. And I am planning to put some more daffodils in, hopefully, if I can get around to it. So hopefully this center island is going to be absolutely beautiful come early spring with all those beautiful bulbs popping up. And the cool thing about snowflakes, snowdrops, daffodils is that they naturalize in my climate. So they're going to be able to come back every year. I'm going to enjoy them every year, and it's just going to get better and better. Anyway, lots of progress, lots of changes, and lots of plants that are showing off in November, which has been wonderful. I'm sure December garden tour is going to be completely different because then we'll be after our first frost. But at least for right now, things are looking good. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.